What is up, my fellow golf ball addicts? Welcome back to the channel, and as always, I have another golf ball review for you today. We are continuing along with the OnCore line. We did the OnCore Avant 55, we did the OnCore Elixir, we did the OnCore Vero X2, and so you know what that means? We got the sequel, the return of the Vero in the OnCore Vero X2. Let's dive right in. All right, so I gotta be honest with you, the OnCore line has been a little confusing so far. You know, if you haven't seen any of the other reviews, I'll kind of give you a gist here. Essentially, the OnCore line has been confusing because the Avant 55, a very beginner, cheap two-piece golf ball, tested really well. The three-piece budget tour ball and the Elixir, okay. You know, which was weird because it was for my swing speed. The Vero X2, which is, you know, for way faster, swing speed's faster than me, tested better than the Elixir. So kind of interesting there. I essentially think that, and I touch on this in some of the other videos, I think that OnCore is doing a lot of experimentation. I think that, you know, their goal, and I'm just guessing on this, I think their goal is, hey, if we just put up a bunch of different golf balls, try a bunch of different things, we'll take what works, keep it, take what doesn't work, push it out, and then get there sooner, which I respect. I respect that a lot because some of these golf companies take years to figure out what works, what doesn't. They feel like, hey, we have a product that works okay, so let's just keep it as long as we can and milk it dry, and it doesn't work that way. So I actually respect what OnCore is kind of doing here, but the fact that the Vero X2 tested a little better than the Elixir kind of does make me wonder about the X2, because the X2, again, is supposed to be for faster swingers. It's not meant for my swing speed. My swing speed is 92, 93 mile per hour with the driver, which is average for a male in the world. 90% of men swing in this range, basically. You know, not everyone swings 115 mile an hour. That's more of a pro scratch golfer type of thing. The average male is only going to swing 93 mile an hour. The average female pro LPGA golfer only swings at 92 mile an hour, and those are pros. So regardless, that's kind of the average. So I'm interested to see how the Vero X2 does when it comes to that regard. So let's dive in, of course, to the design of the golf ball first. OnCore's logo there, they just go with that nice black look for their tour line. It's pretty basic there. A lot of you really don't like this logo. I kind of do. It's kind of you know, I've been with it for so long that I'm accustomed to seeing it. But if you're not accustomed to seeing it, it might turn you off a little bit. Overall, it does feel very premium. It feels like it has a nice thick coating on there. It feels like a tour ball should, which is good. Coming around to the alignment tool on the side, I'm not a fan of what OnCore does with their Vero line because I like the thick line there, as you can see, but I don't like all the letters in between because it's so unsymmetrical that essentially I just don't feel like it gives me a perfect lineup on the ball. Now, all of you I know don't use an alignment tool, but I do. A lot of us do. And if you look at this, it's okay. It's just not great. There's room for improvement. I would almost rather them come up with a little bit of a different design, but hey, it is what it is. But I am impressed. It actually looks very premium. It feels very premium. And even if you found this on the course, and let's say you necessarily didn't know what it was, if you picked it up and felt it and you know even a little bit about golf balls, you're going to know that it feels pretty premium, so that's good. Now, real quick before I dive into anything else, I do want to touch on the price point as well. So this golf ball comes at a price point of $40 a dozen, which is the same as their Elixir 1. Now, that's interesting because, again, if you haven't seen any of the other reviews, I talk about the shipping cost. If you buy one box, the shipping's like $9, which makes it $49 a dozen, which I hate. But if you join OnCore's membership program, you can actually save a lot of money. So it's interesting. If you're not a member of OnCore's club and you just want to try their golf ball out, it's kind of expensive, and I'm not a real big fan of it, to be honest with you. I wish they would offer a little bit better. Now, I will admit that OnCore does a great thing, and I have not touched on this. They offer the performance pack, essentially, which is how I bought these golf balls. That's how I tested them. But basically for about $40 plus $5 shipping, $6 shipping, somewhere in there, under $50, you can basically try out all their tour golf balls. You can try out the Elixir, you can try out the Vero 1, the Vero 2, and the Vero P, which is actually going to come out soon. They haven't even released that yet. They haven't even really released any information on it. And that comes with 4 sleeves of each, one sleeve of each, which is 4 sleeves in total, which allows you to try them out. So that's actually a pretty good value there, and I hope they keep that, because otherwise, if you just want to try a dozen out of a golf ball, $50 to try out a dozen is pretty expensive. You can almost go buy some Pro V1s for that. So I'm not a super big fan of that, but it is what it is. Now, if you decide to join OnCore's club, boy, you can get some stuff really inexpensive. You can get some great deals, free shipping, and this becomes the way to go. But that's only if you try them and you really like them and you just really dig deep and say, hey, I'm going to be an OnCore guy from now on. So with that being said, let's get out to the putting green and let's see how we did around there with our chips and our putts. All right, so around the green, Vero X2. So I got to give OnCore some credit here. Again, is the Vero X2 a sequel to the X1? I don't know, but I got to say some improvements were made. First of all, as far as the feel, soft, buttery, really comes off the club well. Nice little firm press as far as the feedback. I really love it. If you hit it really solid, there's just a little click there, but it's not super obnoxious. It's not gonna bother you. It's about really, everyone's got a preference on that kind of thing, but I gotta be real. This is exactly what I would want it to feel like. And what I was really impressed with also was the amount of bite. Now granted, when you get to a 4-piece golf ball like this, the bad part is that unfortunately there's not as much forgiveness. So if you accidentally kind of duff it a little bit, let's say you catch it off the bottom of your wedge opposed to kind of hitting down and hitting right in the center, you're not gonna get that spin you're looking for. Your golf ball's gonna check in firm release and it's not gonna check up like you want, and that could kind of throw you off. You're expecting your golf ball to stop after maybe a yard and instead it rolls 4 yards past and you got a pretty long putt. You got a 12-foot putt. That is a possibility here, but that's with any 4-piece golf ball. That's with any 3-piece, 4-piece, 5-piece golf ball. That happens a lot. There's not a lot of forgiveness in that spin. But what I will say is the amount of spin you get with this golf ball when you do hit it correctly is pretty nice. It's right there in that sweet spot. It's not too much. It's not overbearing or overpowering. You know, the TP5, although I love it, sometimes I don't want my golf ball to stop on a dime on a checkup. I just don't. You know what I mean? I don't want it to hit and stop and come back at me from 5 yards off the green. I just don't. Don't get me wrong, it's cool, but this is that right blend of right where I would want it to be if I was more, advanced, lower handicap. I gotta say, it's really impressive. I'm gonna go into the putter now. I'm gonna see how it does off that, and hopefully it continues this, because so far we're off to a great start. All right, so more good news with the Vero X2. So first of all, let's talk about the feel real quick. The feel feels phenomenal, a lot more buttery, a lot more smooth. If you saw the review on the Elixir, one of the biggest things I was disappointed about was how it felt off putts around the green. It just didn't feel right. It felt really mushy. It just felt really dead. It just didn't have a great feel to it. It felt like maybe it was over compressing it with the putter of all things a little bit. Not the case here. This actually feels really buttery, really smooth. Love the sound, just this little slight click that is just music to my ears, really lets you know if you putted it well. Maybe if you mishit it off the toe a little bit or off the inside, it lets you know you can hear that clear as day. And overall, between those two things, perfect 10 out of 10. Now, as far as the actual roll of the golf ball, whether it rolls true or not, it's pretty darn close. If I was to putt it 10 times, I would say 7 out of those 10 times it would roll completely true, meaning it would come off the putter at a really consistent speed. It would just have this nice roll to it, and it would roll to the hole with, a great distance. Not the case here as far as those 3 times out of 10. Basically what happens is, again, kind of the Elixir thing. It overcompresses just slightly. There's a tiny bit of chug there where it comes off hot and just kind of stops for a moment. But again, maybe those are mishits. Maybe that's letting me know, hey, you just didn't putt it 100%. And if that's the case, I don't mind that, because that's an easy way for anybody to tell, whether you're new or whether you're advanced. Hey, you kind of mishit it there. You need to kind of dial in your putter a little bit and try to get it more off the center. Maybe your loft's a little bit off. But overall, really good around the green here. All right, so again, this has an interesting feel to it. The X1 felt a little dead. Occasionally I'd have a little spring off the club, but for the most part it was a little, you could tell it was firm. This one is a little better than that. So at times it does feel a little dead. It feels a little weighted. It feels a little heavy. But gosh, if you hit it in the center of the club, it really feels like it takes off. It feels like it has a little nitrous in there. Back in the day, I used to play Need for Speed. It was a video game based on street racing. And, you'd be going fast and you'd be racing your opponent and you'd hit that nitrous button and it would kind of just, get you ahead a little bit. That's how this golf ball feels when you hit it really pure. So I initially, it's not exactly how I would want a golf ball to feel, because it does come off a little dead. But I'll tell you what, you hit it pure and you're gonna get that mean face. You're gonna get that, we actually call it nasty face, in the hip hop world. But I know I look like I know a lot about the hip hop world, don't I? But essentially it's kind of like this. Because you hit it really clean and yeah, I got that one. You walk around, you stretch stuff. I got every bit of that. That's how this golf ball feels. And I got to say, there was a couple times I really hit that and I hit the mean mug. and I turn around and look, the numbers were phenomenal. So let's dive into these numbers. Let's start with the 9-iron first of all. So the 9-iron, again, now this ball is intended to be faster, for faster swing speeds than I have. So the fact that I got 91.7 mile an hour with it, I'm very impressed with that. 23.1, that's a good launch angle. Obviously I don't know the spin with my 9-iron, it doesn't reach it, but 119.6 and 126.1 is far better than I would have expected with another ball that's in this compression range. So the fact that I was able to get that, and I actually got some pretty decent forgiveness. It wasn't fantastic, but it was okay considering, again, how firm it is, how dead it feels, and because my swing speed isn't even a match for it. So far off to a really good start. Let's dive into the 7-iron now. Let's see how we did there. As you can see, let's start off with the spin, 6,299. So that's kind of around a mid, somewhere in there. 153.9 on your carry, 164.4 on your total yards. Both of those are really, really good. I can't complain at all. And that ball speed at 109.8 is phenomenal. Now, this is where this golf ball gets really interesting. So these numbers are phenomenal. The difference is that when you use a two-piece softer golf ball that's more of a softer compression, your mishits and your pures are more toward the middle. So, let's say I get 108 mile an hour with a 7-iron. My pure is going to go 109. My mishit's going to go 106. The reason that's really good for a lot of beginner golfers is because, okay, it's going to be consistent. Whether you mishit it or whether you hit it great, it's going to be consistent. Because this golf ball is meant for more lower handicaps, I'll say, faster swingers, there was a huge disparity in what I got. So, was my average 109? Well, yeah, and that's awesome. But you know what my max was? 115.4. Now, if you're new to the channel, my record for 7-iron is like 111.6. So I got 4 mile an hour more than my record. So again, to be funny, but to go back to that mean kind of mug, that was when I hit it really pure and I could just feel it. I knew it. It almost reminds me of a bulldog look, but you knew it. And I turned around 115. I was like, that can't be right, but that's amazing. On the other spectrum of that, I did mishit it a couple times, 105. So there's a huge disparity there. So what that means is that if you're a guy that strikes it well a lot, 8, 9 out of 10 times, this golf ball might have a lot of pop for you. You might really be impressed how far it goes, how long it travels, how much it just springs off the club. But if you're like me and you occasionally mishit it, maybe a little off the toe, maybe a little off the inside, you are going to be punished. The forgiveness isn't great. I wish it was a little better, but gosh, the benefit is when you hit it pure, it's just so far that it's hard to be mad at it. I mean, even what it averages out to be, the only bad side is, I'm planning on 155 for my 7-iron. I mishit it a little. Now I'm at 140, 145, whatever. Not even on the green. So that's the only reason it would kind of hesitate me. But again, if you're a more advanced golfer, let's see how these numbers turn out. So now getting into the 5 hybrid, which of course, usually these golf balls that are firmer do a lot better. 3,853, so that's, a little low. I mean, it's kind of average mid, but it's a little lower than I would want. It doesn't quite stick a green as well as I would want it to. It does launch low at 13.3. I really had trouble getting the golf ball to launch high in the air. It wants to launch low. It really does. 121.3, 200 yards exact on the total distance, 187.2 on the carry. First of all, 121.3 as an average is astronomical. That is phenomenal on the speed there. But again, my fastest ball speed, 127.3. Again, just astronomical. My driver, if I mishit my driver a little off the toe, just a little off the toe, it's 127. So, I mean, that's incredible with a 5 hybrid. That's a new record. And this golf ball had the highest record with my 9-iron, with my 7-iron, and with my 5 hybrid on a pure hit. That's incredible. So this golf ball has a ton of speed. If it's hit correctly, it jumps off the club like you wouldn't believe. 127.3 is nuts. There was also a 124.2 on there. The average ended up being 121.3 because, again, there was some mishits that 116.3, 118.3, or 118.9, excuse me, those aren't bad. those aren't bad at all. It's just that, again, it's astronomical. You either pure it and it goes 200, or you kind of mishit it and it goes 180. So if you're a new golfer, again, you're not striking the iron well, you might see those disparities. But if you're a pretty consistent iron striker and wood striker, you're going to have some fun for sure. Let's hope that these driver numbers continue. I mean, so far it's been really phenomenal. I just hope the driver can continue it. Starting with spin, 2,848, 14.6 launch, not bad at all. 138 ball mile per hour speed, that is just phenomenal. 249.6, 229.6, really good stuff there. And guess what? Again, it goes back to, I got 135, I got 134, but my max was 142 mile an hour ball speed, 142.5 to be exact. That is another record for the channel. So this golf ball, you know, it may not have had the highest averages I've ever had, but as far as my max fastest hit ever hit with a single golf ball in a single shot, this one now holds the record for 9 iron, 7 iron, 5 hybrid, and driver, just like that. Every single one of them. That's pretty incredible. That means that if you're someone who can hit that center of the face, I can't imagine. I mean, obviously there's a lot to process here, but I can't imagine there being a better golf ball than this, because it just has so much spring off the club when you hit it pure. It spins really well. It's a decent price point. Again, there's a lot to process here, but that's just phenomenal that I have a new record all in one go. You know, a lot of the time, every once in a blue moon, I'll have, you know, a ball kind of be like, oh, that's the fastest I've ever hit with my 9 iron. But the fact that this one just blew the records away, not just beat them, blew them away over and over and over and over with every single club, there's something to be said about that. Real quick, before I touch on my final thoughts, I do want to get into the durability. I mean, it's phenomenal. It really is. I mean, this golf ball, like I told you before, it feels really premium. This is after about 50, 60 shots. As you can see, I'm feeling the golf ball. It feels so pristine. It feels so smooth. It feels so pure. I'm really impressed. Honestly, it's a 5 out of 5. I can't imagine it being anything other than that. It just feels so good. It still looks so good. And I mean, I would trust it for easily over a round if you played with it. I would say a round and a half probably before, you know, the flight, the roll starts to get a little wonky. Maybe if you hit a car path or two, I don't know. But seriously, that's really good. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that. Okay, so now final thoughts. You know, trying to collect all my thoughts here, you know, design-wise, pretty good. Around the green, pretty good. But boy, when you get to the numbers, there's maybe a lack of consistency when you have a slower swing speed and you're more of an average golfer. But the highs are just so high, and the lows are really not that low. I mean, they're a little low, but they're not like super low, but the highs are just phenomenal. Who is the golf ball for? Do I recommend it? Well, first of all, do I recommend it? Yes, I do. Who do I recommend it for? If you swing 93, 94 mile an hour or better, and you're looking for a very good tour ball that has a lot of pop, that maybe isn't $50, $60 a dozen, you got to give it a try. You have to. I'm not saying it'll work great for you. Maybe you're not as great of an iron striker as you thought. Maybe you won't like certain things about it. Maybe you won't like the feel. I don't know, but it's definitely worth a shot because, again, it broke every record I have. It broke every record with every club I have. It's hard not to recommend a golf ball, at least to try. You know what I mean? So what I would say is that if anything else, get the performance pack. Try them out in that regard because, you know, maybe you'll find a golf ball you really like. Maybe you'll like the Elixir. Maybe you like the X1. Maybe you like the XP. But regardless, you got to get your hands on the X2. You got to try it. You got to at least see how it is because I was blown away. I couldn't believe how well it felt on pure hits. I would really love to test it if I had like 100 mile an hour swing speed or maybe even a little faster because I think the golf ball might even perform a little better then. And I can't even imagine what the numbers would be in that regard. So overall, definitely give it a shot in that regard, guys. As always, keep watching and keep saving and keep learning. Until next time.